Hi guys, this is Tinril, and today I'm going to compare 4 different microphones, each from a different price range. In order of least expensive to most expensive, I will be testing the Antlion ModMic 4.0, the Blue Snowball, the Blue Yeti, and the Audio Technica 2035. I will be reading a somewhat obscure excerpt from a test used by a co-announcer of the World Series in the 1920s, mainly because it's quirky and I like it. The purpose of this video isn't to directly compare any of these microphones and declare a single victor. It's just to have a listen so that they can each be considered for context of how they could be used in different situations within a certain budget. Links will be included to the start of each sample so you can jump around if you want to keep comparing. First up is the ModMic 4.0. The ModMic gets its name from the fact that you connect it to a regular set of headphones. It has a single condenser capsule with a frequency response of 100 Hz to 10 kHz, and it has a 3.5 millimeter connector.
Penelope Cholmondeley raised her azure eyes from the crab scenario. She meandered among the congeries of her memoirs. There was the kinetic Algernon, a choleric artificer of icons and triptychs, who wanted to write a trilogy. For years she had stifled her risibilities with dour moods. His asthma caused him to sough like the zephyrs among the tamarack.
Second in the queue is the Blue Snowball, a spherical microphone with 2 condenser capsules and a frequency response of 40 Hz to 18 kHz. It has a USB connector.
Penelope Cholmondeley raised her azure eyes from the crab scenario. She meandered among the congeries of her memoirs. There was the kinetic Algernon, a choleric artificer of icons and triptychs, who wanted to write a trilogy. For years she had stifled her risibilities with dour moods. His asthma caused him to sough like the zephyrs among the tamarack.
Third in the list is the Blue Yeti, a fairly hefty microphone with 3 condenser capsules and a frequency response of 20 Hz to 20 kHz. This also has a USB connector.
Penelope Cholmondeley raised her azure eyes from the crab scenario. She meandered among the congeries of her memoirs. There was the kinetic Algernon, a choleric artificer of icons and triptychs, who wanted to write a trilogy. For years she had stifled her risibilities with dour moods. His asthma caused him to sough like the zephyrs among the tamarack.
Last is the Audio Technica 2035. This has a large diaphragm condenser capsule with a frequency response of 20 Hz to 20 kHz, and it has an XLR connector.
Penelope Cholmondeley raised her azure eyes from the crab scenario. She meandered among the congeries of her memoirs. There was the kinetic Algernon, a choleric artificer of icons and triptychs, who wanted to write a trilogy. For years she had stifled her risibilities with dour moods. His asthma caused him to sough like the zephyrs among the tamarack.
Now these all sound fairly different, but let's quickly talk about them one at a time. The ModMic has the least amount of background noise and reflection, but at the same time it has less of everything. The vocals on the ModMic sound pretty flat compared to the other microphones. The ModMic, however, is not as invasive, and it swivels out of the way when it's not in use. I'm pretty happy with mine, and I'll continue to use it for voice chat when gaming or other situations where I don't want a larger microphone in my face. Speaking of location, the ModMic was positioned a few inches outside the edge of my mouth. For the Blue Snowball, the Blue Yeti, and the AT2035, a Samson double-layer nylon pop filter was attached, and the same relative distance was used when speaking into them. The vocals on the Blue Snowball definitely sound richer than the ModMic, and you can hear some of that larger room effect as it picks up some reflection. My room is by no means acoustic, and that isn't really part of this test. This is just to see how all the microphones compare in the same setting. With the Blue Yeti, you can hear everything more clearly. The vocals have more pop, and you still hear some reflection. The hum of my computer in the background is also a lot more noticeable than with either the Blue Snowball or the ModMic. I'm by no means an audiophile, but I feel like the vocals from the Audio Technica 2035 sound the best of these 4, but it has a little less presence than the Blue Yeti. The background noise and the reflection are greater than the ModMic, but a lot less than the Snowball or the Blue Yeti. Let's have a listen at the beginning of the announcer's test to hear a sample from all 4 of the microphones in quick succession, followed by some additional points to note for some of the microphones.
Penelope Cholmondeley. Penelope Cholmondeley. Penelope Cholmondeley. Penelope Cholmondeley.
I'll put this table up in the background while I talk about a few other things. The ModMic attaches to headphones with an adhesive magnet so that it can be swiveled into incremental positions or removed altogether, leaving the other half of the magnet behind. The cable is 10.8 feet long, leaving a good amount of cord to go alongside your headphone cable. It includes clips so that you can snap the two together. The blue Snowball comes with an adjustable stand and USB cable, and it offers two patterns, cardioid and omni. There's also a setting for a cardioid pattern with a negative 10 decibel pad. The connector to the Snowball is a USB-B, which seems to be a throwback to printers from the 1990s. The Blue Yeti comes with a cable, a stand, and has cardioid, stereo, omnidirectional, and bidirectional patterns. Additionally, the Blue Yeti has a 3.5mm jack to plug in headphones to listen through the microphone, an on-device mute button, and an on-device gain dial. I will note that this microphone had a troubling buzz, and I had to scour many forums and try a bunch of different steps before I was able to isolate the actual cause of my issue. The mute button also seems to be pretty hit or miss after it's seen some use, and you end up hitting the button several times, never sure when it's actually going to mute. If you want more than a cardioid pattern, the Blue Yeti or the Blue Snowball are worth consideration. The Audio-Technica 2035 comes with a shock mount, a threaded mount adapter to change to different sizes, and a zipper carrying case. On the microphone itself are two additional switches for a negative 10 decibel pad or a low cut switch. Also known as high pass filter, it lowers or cuts out frequencies below 80 to 100 Hz. The AT2035 requires phantom power to operate, and of all these microphones, XLR is the least easily connected to your computer. I have seen the Focusrite Scarlette 2i2 come highly recommended, but personally I went for a 4-channel mixer instead. Even though I don't plan on doing any mixing, for the same price you can get things the Scarlette doesn't have, such as 2 additional channels, more tiered gain options, high and low frequency equalizer dials, RCA and 1/4 inch jack outputs, as well as channel overload and decibel meter LEDs. I find the LEDs to be very useful for gain staging the microphone. The Scarlette 2i2 does output to USB, so if that is a must for you, then it's not a bad option. Ranking the cost for these, the ModMic as the standard, the ModMic would be 1 ModMic, the Blue Snowball is 1.6 ModMics, the Blue Yeti is 3 ModMics, and the Audio-Technica 2035 is 4.6 to 5.8 ModMics. The 2035 is more expensive than the Yeti, even before you get something to give it power and convert the output. This narration was recorded on the Audio-Technica 2035. Well, that's it for me. If you're in the market for a microphone and were considering any of these, I hope this might have helped you out. Thanks for the view/listen, and have a great day.